Tatis steps up to the plate. I stepped away from the gourmet dinner that I was cooking for my family. Well, maybe some people call it Green Chef, but I think of it as this 4-course meal gourmet that I'm making from scratch. Well, that scratch is pre-portioned things that we order, but let's let the details be the details. We were watching the Padres last night, and they're playing against the Dodgers. All my Dodger fans out there, I love you too. And by the way, the hat is KC for Kelly Cardenas. It is not for Kansas City Chiefs. Just want to let you know, although I do love you, Rick, you're amazing. I absolutely love you. But while we were watching the Padres game last night, I call it the Padres game, not the Dodger game, because we live here in San Diego. And Tatis steps up. Now, I believe that Tatis is Michael Jordan of baseball right now. This guy is unreal. And as I step away from slaving over a hot stove to take care of my family with this gourmet meal, I step away from it for a second, and I look at the TV, and I start yelling at the TV. In my mind, I'm just praying, praying righteous prayers. But my wife hears it as me yelling at the screen, which is silly in her mind because I'm yelling at someone who can't hear me, who doesn't know me yet, and really has no bearing on the game. But I'm like, please, Tatis, give me one, give me one, give me one. And he steps up, pitch comes down to, it's a ball, and then boom. And this last one, I was like, please, Tatis, give it to me. And crack. Goes high in the strike zone, bam, home run. And I was like, see, my prayer was answered. And my wife is just looking at me, shaking her head like, that was no prayer at all. You're just yelling at the TV. They didn't do anything. But a lot of times in my life, I think that, I say that prayer is answered because the answer is answered immediately and it's obvious. But a lot of times I'm not praising God for the delay or being deterred from what I want because he knows that it's best for me. But how do I know? This was the question that I had this morning is, how do I know if it's an actual answer to prayer or if it's, me not getting what I want and it, maybe that my prayer is not being answered? How do I know the difference? And it was amazing because when I sat down to read Proverbs 9 today, in Proverbs 9, it talked about that foolishness and righteousness has the exact same voice, the same tone, from the same place to the same people, although the results are completely different. But the only way that we'll know is by focusing on him. So for me, I thought because I yelled out at the TV, I called it righteous praying. My wife called it a silly conversation, not even a conversation, just me yelling at someone who would never hear me. Let her be her, I'll be me, I'll believe what I want to believe. It was righteous prayer. And in my head, that righteous prayer was answered because that one home run was the one run that it took for the Padres to beat the Dodgers last night and go up 2-1. But how do I really know? The only way that I'll know is if I stay in touch with God and he tells me. Now, I don't know if I'm going to ask him that question. But in today's proverb, it's amazing because he let us know that foolishness, righteousness, they speak in the same tone, from the same place, to the same people. But the results are vastly, vastly different. And he let us know of the formula to know the difference between the two. So why don't we get this party started?
Nothing more on my mind. I got two shines, so every day I grind. Work in the morning, work in the evening. We's achieving, cause we believing. It's for certain, we put the work in. We ain't stopped just because it's hurting. Right before your eyes, so it's coming to no surprise. The takeover is televised. Over and over and over again. Make no mistake, we continue to win. Defeat never known, cause I will not lose. They wanna mimic my moves, but can't walk in my shoes.
For those of you watching on YouTube or on Spotify, you see that commercial. It's the Vibe Room. And guess what? It's coming November 9th to Salt Lake City. And the tough part about it is there's very, very limited tickets. We're releasing them tonight. And by tomorrow morning, when I do the podcast, you'll see that they're actually sold out. So it's incredible. That way we'll release them. Make sure you DM me or send a message on YouTube, whatever it is, comment on the podcast, and I'll be able to get that, and it'll be great. And we'll get you in touch to be able to do it. We've got Janae Thompson, 12.6 million subscribers on YouTube. Incredible, unbelievable businesswoman, but also has 4 children. She's going to make you laugh. She's going to make you cry. She's going to make you help to see what is possible in life. It's incredible. She's going to be there. We also have Baron Baptiste, one of the top in the yoga space. This guy is an unbelievable entrepreneur and beat Michael Jordan, and I'll tell you why at the Vibe Room. We've also got a young man that retired for the first time at like 25, 26 years old, one of the baddest businessmen on the planet, and now he's coaching people, Coach Keith Hale, and he's going to be there, and he's going to be spending time with you guys, and the room is full and sprinkled with some of the most incredible people, so I can't wait to be able to have you guys there. It's going to be awesome. So let me get back to the subject at hand, which is the Padres. Now, I'm not a huge baseball fan, although I am during the playoffs. My buddy Will, shout out to you. He always talks about baseball. He watches every single game. I can't believe that he would be able to do that. But during the playoffs, especially when the Padres are there, man, it's incredible. I tell you, Tatis, if you haven't got to see Fernando Tatis Jr. play, it's like watching Jordan in his prime. This is the Michael Jordan of baseball. I took my son to a game maybe about a year ago, and we walk in, and he's like, Daddy, I'm so glad to be here. I said, son, what do you want? Anything you want. While we're here, I'm going to get you, right? He's like, I'd like some carne asada nachos. I was like, I got you. He saw somebody walking by with a swag chain. He said, I want a swag chain. I said, I got you. And I was feeling myself at this point. And then he's like, and I want to catch a foul ball. I was like, I got you. And then he's like, and I want to see Tatis hit a home run. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is a tall order. I knew I could get the nachos. I knew I could get the swag chain, but I didn't know if I could get the foul ball, and I didn't know if Tatis was going to hit a home run. We come in, first 3 at bats, 3 bombs in a row. Tatis Jr. hits 3 bombs. Boom, boom, boom. We got the nachos. We got the swag chain, but it comes down to the 8th inning, and my son still hasn't got the foul ball. Well, there was one that came over, and a kid, was taller than him and reached out and caught it. My son was a little younger than him, whatever it was. And then another one comes in like the bottom of the 8th, and I'm thinking, man, this is not going to happen. And my son comes back to the seat after that first foul ball, and he's kind of got tears in his eyes, and he's like, oh, well, the other kid caught it. And it happens again. It flies over, and the kid reaches up again, taller kid grabs it. And, this time Maddox is completely broken. And he walks over to the seat, and he's just got tears in his eyes. And I swear all my life, this 13-year-old kid walks over to the chair where we're sitting and hands Maddox the ball. What 13-year-old would do that? I have no idea. I want to thank that kid. You know who you are. Your parents did a great job. But it was this experience seeing Tatis and just falling in love. Now, I'm not, again, a huge baseball guy. I'm more of football and basketball. But during the playoffs, man, and last night I was watching, and I believe that my prayer not only helped, but I think solidified the Padres win last night. So you're welcome to all you Padres fans out there, to all you Dodger fans. I apologize because my prayer is powerful. Now, my wife would tell you that the opposite. My wife would be like, oh, you were just yelling at the TV, dummy. That's what you were doing. It didn't have anything to do with you. But in my head, the way that I believe, and I make up the rules anyway, so here we go. Since I make up the rules, then I win. And so, but it was great because I got grounded this morning. I got to spend a little bit of time in the Word, and Proverbs 9. It's a short one, so I would suggest that you check it out. Let me see how many verses it has. It only has, 18 verses. It's a really short proverb, which is great. I like that because I like to be able to get wisdom and power packed. What this was talking about is, wisdom and foolishness, they call out from the same place and the same tone to the same people, but they have vastly different results. but how can we know which one we're listening to? And it goes through and talks about this, and in Proverbs 9, it gave us the breakdown of it, and it's very specific. And so in this corresponding proverb for the corresponding day, I want to let you know, thank you for tuning in. Also, there's a special person. Number one, Ashley, you know exactly who you are. We're a listener-supported podcast. And Ashley, I want to thank you so much for your support. Also, Sarah, I talked to you yesterday, S-E-R-A. It was a different way. Bonacera is what it is. But she spoke life into me yesterday. And I got a chance to be able to do a webinar with some people, speak to them. And she spoke life into me. And when you feel seen and when you feel heard, it lights you absolutely on fire. And please do this to someone. If it's your wife, do it to your wife, to your kids. Speak life into them. Say their name, say something specific that they did that inspired you. And Sarah did that for me. And I told her that I was going to tell her how incredible she was. And also Jimmy Barbour, thank you so much for listening to Inchstones, and thank you for listening to it with your family. If your kids are listening, Jimmy's family, his wife and his kids right now, if you're sitting down at 7:30 in the morning and listening to Inchstones like you told me you were, I want to tell you your dad is an incredible man. Your dad's an incredible man on an incredible journey, but he's also a man. And so I want you to realize that he's never going to be perfect, although he is working his butt off to make sure that you have a life that is so much greater than he ever could have. And he loves you, his wife, I'm talking to you, he loves you more than anything. And he was talking about it, and I could see it in his eyes. So I want to just lift you up, Jimmy, and speak life into you. And also with Ellie, you hopped on live with us today, and you're going to come to the Vibe Room. You're going to be blown away. It's an unreal experience. And I just want to congratulate you and tell you thank you so much for all your love and support of the podcast, which I think is great. And make sure you're tuning in to Inchstones. So let's hop into this. Do you mind if I put on my glasses? I think I could put my glasses on. That's where we're at now. So in verse 1 through 6, it stays pretty simple, like I talked about earlier, is wisdom's call. It talks about having a firm foundation. It's food to eat if you come to hang with wisdom. It calls out and says everyone's welcome, and then it has a promise of a better day. In verse 1 through 6, this is what it talks about. Firm foundation, food to eat, calls out to everyone. Everyone is welcome, and it gives you a promise of a better day. The crazy thing is if you skip, we're going to do this kind of Pulp Fiction-ish. We're going to start from the top, and then we're going to go to the bottom. So when we go to the bottom in verse 13 through 18, it talks about foolishnesses, I don't even know if that's how you say it, but foolishnesses call. And what was crazy about it is I read it, it said foolishness has a firm foundation. It calls out, everyone is welcome, and it gives you a promise of a better day. So wait a second. You mean to tell me that wisdom is calling out? It has a firm foundation, food to eat, calls out to everyone. And everyone is welcome, and it has a promise of a better day. And foolishness has a firm foundation, calls out to everyone, and has food to eat. Everyone is welcome, and has a promise of a better day. Well, that's exactly the same. And when I read this, I was like, well, how do I know the difference? And what was sandwiched in the middle, and this is where we, again, it's very quick, is verse 7 through 12. The only way to know the difference in 7 through 12, it says it. How do I know what to do? And it lists it out. Fear of God is the beginning of wisdom. And then it says, through wisdom, you will be rewarded, and years will be added to your life. So wisdom is the right use of knowledge. And so God is saying to us that we have to understand the particular situation. And what I love about this particular proverb, and when you read it, it says in verse 7, whoever corrects a mocker invites insults. Whoever rebukes the wicked incurs abuse. I'm like, okay, cool. So if they're an idiot and I try and correct them, it's not going to be good. And then it says in verse 8, do not rebuke mockers or they will hate you. Rebuke the wise and they will love you. Instruct the wise and they will become wiser still. Teach the righteous and they will add to their learning. Whoever corrects a mocker invites insults. And then it says in the other one, do not rebuke mockers or they will hate you. And it's like, how do I know whether to rebuke somebody, whether to correct them or anything like that? And God was saying afterwards, it's just fear of God, like fear of me. What is fear? It's just respect. And if you spend time with me, this is what he was saying. If you spend time with me, then I'll give you the answer for that specific situation, as opposed to the pattern that you think you should follow, which will become the religion, and that religion will become your God. And you will worship that religion as opposed to having a personal relationship with me. Bang, bang, biggity, bang, right? And so where he wants us is not in a ritualistic, not worshiping the rituals and getting into a religion. What he wants us to do is just have a personal relationship with him and say, like, this call that I hear, is it you, God, or is it foolishness? Well, the only way that you'll know is if you stay tuned into him. That's the crazy thing. So what last night, when I was at that moment, when I thought like, oh, wow, God answered my prayer. Well, I could believe that because, it was it had a firm foundation. Like I yelled at the TV, Tatis, give me this. I thought it was a prayer. My wife thought it was me yelling at the TV. I thought it had a firm foundation, and I was wanting the right thing to happen, which was the Padres to win. There was obviously food to eat, meaning that if my prayer was answered, then everybody would have great things that were happening in their life, especially if you're a Padres fan. That result was calling out to me. And you know what? Everyone's welcome to be a Padres fan. And it was a promise of a better day. If the Padres just win this game, then we'll go into tonight's game and we could actually end the series in San Diego. But how do I know if that was actually an answer to prayer or it was just foolishness? Well, the only way that we'll know is when we lock into his voice. And see, in this situation, I choose not to ask him. I choose not to ask God, like, was it my prayer that saved the Padres season and hopefully will take us to the World Series? I'm not going to ask him that because in my heart, I believe that it was just an answer to prayer, and my smooth, strong, righteous prayer caused Tatis to hit that home run. But I guess we'll never know because I'll never ask that question. But if you are asking the question, is this foolishness? Or is this the right thing to do? The only place that you'll ever find the right answer is when it comes from his lips. In Proverbs 9, it takes us right through that. And I just want to tell you, thank you so much for tuning into Inchstones. It's the corresponding proverb, corresponding day. Check out the Vibe Room, which is coming November 9th in Salt Lake City. Tickets will be released tonight. If you don't have the book, The Vibe, check it out because it's not the energy that you bring into the room. It's the way in which people feel when you leave. You can get that on Amazon. The link is there. And also buy Bling. It adds moisture, strength, and shine. And guess what? It smells like vacation. So I hope you have a phenomenal day. I love you. Thank you so much for subscribing and commenting on the podcast itself. My name is Kelly Cardenas, and I'm officially off the hot seat. Peace, love, and soul.